Hi Otters, and welcome back to another guided reading lesson. Today we're going to be looking at the role of women in ancient Greece, and we have a website or an article from a website for you to read through. It's just about a page long. So pause me here please whilst you read through it. Maybe read through it twice if you've got the time so you can really take in what you're reading, and then press play when you're ready to move on. Okay then, let's get started. Here are some of the vocab that you might not know. There's quite a lot today, so please have a listen in case you didn't know what these meant. So we've got favouring, it's a verb because it ends in ing, and this means to prefer one thing more than another. You might favour chocolate over sweets, for example. Submissive means obedient, so where the person or thing lets others take control. In this context, it said how women were looked at as submissive, okay, because once a woman got married, she was under the control of her husband. Prior means before. Assume means to think without proof. So you might assume something, but you don't know for definite because there isn't proof. Perceived means realized. Prestige means respect or importance gained through success. So if you are successful at something, you might gain respect or importance, which would be prestige. Maintaining is another ing, so it's another verb, and it's to keep something at the same level. So you might want to, I always say about maintaining your spelling. So if you get 10 out of 10, you have to maintain that score, try and keep it up for as long as you can. And then the last one is a theory. So a theory is an idea which might explain something. It's not necessarily a proven theory. We might not have evidence to help with that, but it's just an idea to explain something. Let's move on to our quick start questions. There's only 3 today, and I would like you to have a go at these. So pause me whilst you answer them, and then press play when you're ready to move on. Okay, so question 1 says, name one thing Athenian women were not able to do. Athenian women, okay, were the women of ancient Athens, okay? And you might have had different things. So one of the things would be that they were not allowed to become citizens in the Athenian city-state. Also, they were not able to own property. What else did we have? So they weren't allowed an education, and they weren't allowed to show too much skin or to walk where they wanted. So they had to keep covered up and they couldn't walk where they wanted. Question 2. You only had to, oh, by the way, you only had to have one of them to get the mark, but well done if you found more than one. Question 2. Name one thing that Spartan women were able to do. So it says women of ancient Sparta. And again, you only need one of these answers, but well done if you found more than one. So they were, let's have a look through. They were allowed to own property, okay. As well as this, they were able to wear short dresses and they could go wherever they wanted. And they also were highly educated, so they were allowed to go to school. One of those answers would get you the mark. And question 3, why did the Sparta women have more rights? Why did the Sparta women have more rights? It was because you could have had, again, one of 2 answers. It could have been because their husbands were away and they had to have those rights just for practicalities reasons to look after things. You might have also had, though, that they were given more rights because they were the mothers of Spartan warriors and therefore they were well respected and had that prestige. So either because their husbands were away, so they had to do those jobs, or because they were the mothers of the Spartan warriors and therefore were well respected. Moving on. Oh, I like this question. Now, this is something different that we've not done before. It says, if this is the answer, what is the question? So the answer is the Spartan women. What could the question be? Don't forget your capital letters and your question marks on the end of these, please. Pause me whilst you answer this, and then press play to move on. Okay, then I'm not going to tell you any possible answers because you could have all had different questions. Please send it in to me though, and I'd like to give a little shout out in the welcome video for your questions to see if there were ones that maybe nobody else came up with that you managed to think of. Moving on to the next question. It says, think of one similarity and one difference between the Athenians and Spartan women. One similarity and one difference. I think the differences will be easy, but the similarities might be more challenging. Pause me whilst you answer this, and then press play to move on. Okay then, now I had a look through it, and I have to be honest, I struggled with the similarity for a bit. And then I thought, actually, it's probably quite obvious. One similarity is that they both married men. Okay, they both had husbands. Okay, or you might have had that they were both in charge of looking after the household, maintaining the household. Okay, that's the only similarities that I found, but you might have found something different. Whereas the differences, I found loads. So have a listen. You only need one of these to get the mark, but well done if you found more. One could be about their education. One could be about how some were able to go where they wanted, others weren't. Some were able to wear short dresses, others had to cover their bodies. Athenian women weren't allowed to go to school, but the Spartan women were. Okay. And maybe you could have also had another difference, is how the Athenian women they weren't looked upon very highly, whereas the Spartan women, it said, were given a lot of prestige. Okay, so they were well respected. You only needed one of them to get the mark, okay, but well done if you found more. Moving on. What genre is this text? How do you know? What genre? This means what text type is it? So I'm going to give you a clue. It's definitely non-fiction. It's non-fiction, but what kind of non-fiction? Is it a recipe? Is it a set of instructions? Okay, what other non-fiction genres can you think of? Now, you might have struggled with this because you haven't been in school for a while, so you might have forgotten. But this is a non-chronological report. Okay, so we know it's non-fiction, it's non-chronological, and we know this because it's factual, it's got information. It's also got subheadings such as owning property, women of ancient Athens, and women of ancient Sparta. All right, it's also got a title at the beginning which tells you what it's about. You might have written fact file, which I would give you the mark for, but the correct term is a non-chronological report. Okay. Next question. If I can find my mouse. I always lose my mouse. Here we go. It says, why is the text arranged in this way? So have a look at it. Why is it arranged in this way? Pause me whilst you answer and press play to move on. So then it says, why is it arranged this way? So it's arranged into paragraphs for a start, okay? And then it's also split into different sections. We've got an introduction, we've got a paragraph about owning property, women of ancient Athens, and the women of ancient Sparta. Now, you might have had different answers for this. Some of those answers could be it's arranged into areas of the roles of women, so it's grouped the information together into paragraphs and into sections. You could say how the introduction provides like an overview for the text, and then after that they get more specific, so it goes into owning property, and then it talks about the women of ancient Athens and women of ancient Sparta. Again, you might have had something different to me, or you might have worded it differently because it's really hard to articulate, but please make sure you send it in to me so I can have a look at it, and I'm sure you'll have got it right. And the next one, I think this is the last question for today. It is lovely. Now this is called a fact dump. We've not done one of these before, but it's just to see how much you can remember. So it says without the text, so you're going to have to put it away and hide it, so there's no cheating. You now have 5 minutes to write everything that you can remember about the text. You might want to make a list of this, okay, in bullet points or numbered maybe. And let's see how much you can think of. Try not to repeat yourself. Make sure you're timing yourself. Send this in to me and I'd like to share in my welcome video maybe who's remembered the most facts out of the whole text, okay? Good luck, guys, and I'll be back in a couple of days for another guided reading lesson.